Hello.
Good evening.
Ew, what's going on with the color? All right, let me try that again. Hey, you guys. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good evening.
Yes. Okay. I couldn't hear you, so that was what was going on. Wow, I look super. Okay. Hey, you guys. All right, so I changed the setting on Zoom, and hopefully today was less traumatic. Hopefully, back here clicking on different buttons and stuff. So I was talking to my mastermind lady, and I think I got something that works. The other thing is, Saran and Stephanie, what did you guys think of the Facebook watch party? The reason I don't do that is because everyone is not in the group, and so I always want everyone, even the people who aren't in the Facebook group, if they ever want to jump on, to jump on. But what about the video? What do you mean, what about the video, Saran?
Hello?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, use the camera I meant to say. We can uncover the camera just like we can unmute ourselves. It doesn't seem as if we can uncover the camera in this setting.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Let me see. Yeah,
I could.
Yeah, Stephanie just did it. I don't know. It says, yeah, I was just about to ask somebody else to do it. So wait, let me see. There you are. I can see you, Saran.
Oh, okay. You had to give me permission to start the video.
Well, I didn't. I clicked on. I didn't click on anything. Let me. There's a drop down up in the corner of each person. I clicked to see what was in the drop down, but I didn't click to start anything. There's like a little button that says "Ask to start," but before I got to click it, you had already popped up.
Yeah, because I clicked OK. When it popped up for me, I clicked OK.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't clicked that for other people, and other people are jumping on, so I'm not really sure. But hopefully this works, and if that happens, just let me know in the chat or whatever that you want your face to be in the place. We had a wonderful time last week doing like a makeup call in the Facebook group. We did a watch party. That was actually kind of fun. I don't want to say I'm going to do it every week because I don't know if I have an extra hour every week to jump on and do that. But if we ever have any glitches like that and people are in the Facebook group, that is an option. So that was really awesome. Let's start by praying. So as always, it is optional. You can participate if you'd like. If not, that's fine. Heavenly Father, thank you for yet another day, God. We started this week with some people who didn't make it. And so we just want to give you gratitude, God, for the breath that's in our lungs, the movement of our limbs, the homes that we're in, the food that we ate today, God, the beds that we're going to sleep in later. We don't want to take anything for granted. We thank you, God, for this call, for this group of powerful women that are aimed at creating incredible lives aligned with your purpose, God. And we thank you for continually speaking to us and speaking through us so that we will continue to be a light and finding our light and shining our light and serving others as we become closer and closer to who you made us to be. Help me to decrease, God, you increase, and give me whatever words you want me to speak to these ladies, these specific ladies on this call. And I thank you for it. In Jesus' name, I pray, amen. Anybody have an affirmation from this week that they would like to share? I am reading a book about money. And it's actually, the book is called Happy Money. It's from my library. My mastermind lady mentioned to me that, what did she tell me? That money has energy. Like money can be, basically your concept of money can affect how you make money. That's basically the gist of the book, right? And so if you have a negative relationship with money, which you very well may, from your family and your perspective, you know, you guys never had money for anything. You had to, your mom had to pull you out of dance class. Anyway, then you have a negative relationship with money and you may actually be creating that lack that you're complaining about. So anyway, this is my book and I've been, you know, waking up and, well, I've been reading this every night, 10 pages a night, trying to get through it, as well as trying to remind myself that I'm grateful for whatever money I have, as opposed to walking around thinking I don't have enough, you know, be grateful for what I have, kind of trying to change and shift the way that I approach my money. Does anybody have an affirmation that they can share for this week? Hey, maybe.
This is Steph. I don't have an affirmation, but I do have, and I meant to put it in the group, but then the week got away from me, but or last week got away from me. But I was on the internet and I saw someone started talking about, you know, they're a growth-minded person and they go to therapy and they're trying to be a better human. But that when they talk about, I guess, their past selves or their former selves, they talk about it as if it was all negative. And she talked about being grateful for whatever version of yourself you had to be in order to survive whatever you've survived to get to the point that you are today. So I wrote a letter to that version of myself, just recounting my entire life and then thanking myself for getting through that. And it was very cathartic and therapeutic. And I think I need to stop treating everything that I've done pre-evolution or evolving to this version of myself as something that's completely negative. It's just what I knew. It was who I knew to be. So.
Absolutely. That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah. You can't fault yourself for what you did to survive a season. And, you know, is it Maya Angelou that says, when you know better, you do better? So you didn't know better. And so honestly, the previous version of you is why you're the current version of you. Because if you hadn't been, resistance is how you grow, right? So if you hadn't had resistance and obstacles and stuff come in your life, you might not have even wanted to do something different. So that's really powerful and a wonderful thing. And it actually brings a lot of peace because we spend a lot, I was going to talk to you guys about this later, but we spend a lot of emotional energy judging things. And that is a learned thing that we do. You don't come into the world judging things, but you learn it through all kinds of manner of ways, right? And so we judge ourselves too. If you look at kids, they don't really, you know, they change their mind, they flip. Last week they were this, last week they were this way. They don't think until they learn from the well-meaning adults that there's a judgment on the thing. And so good on you for that, and thank you for sharing it, because that's powerful. And if anybody else feels like they would benefit from something like that, feel free to do it on your own time. So today I want to talk to you guys about, we're going to continue talking about purpose. So last week we talked about relationships, and I had another video that I filmed and was going to put up in the Find Your Light group. I uploaded it today, and then I realized I don't know if it uploaded or not, because they switched my son's schedule, and then I had to take my computer, so I may have pulled my computer out before it finished uploading. So if not, I will upload it tomorrow. It's not what I talked to you guys about though. It's a lot more high level about relationships on purpose. So I think all of you guys were on, yeah. But if I was going to say, if you missed it, or if anybody's watching this in the future and they miss it, go back to last week's call. This week's conversation or topic, I want to talk to you guys about what I'm calling your contribution on purpose. And your contribution is the impact that you make on the world, or how you contribute. So in my mind, and I didn't make this up, but this is kind of where my brain is taking me. In my mind, your contribution is typically what people are thinking about when they say they don't know what their purpose is, right? So like typically when you talk to somebody and they're like, I don't know what my purpose is, I have to fuck on my purpose or whatever, you know, thank God for being enlightened enough to want to find out your purpose, because like Stephanie pointed out, some people haven't even gotten to that part. So it's interesting to me how somebody can be enlightened enough to know that they have a purpose and want to discover it and still be downing themselves when they are actually further along down the road. But typically when somebody says they don't know what their purpose is, they are talking about how they contribute, why they are here, what they give to the world, to the space. So your contribution can take a lot of different forms, right? Most people assume that the contribution that you make to this world, your purpose, has something to do with your career, your job, especially in American culture. The first question that people typically ask you when they meet you is, what's your name? The second question is, what do you do? And so we spend a lot of time defining ourselves by what do you do? And what do you do is 99.999%. The response is typically your profession, as in how you earn your money. I want to offer to you guys that contribution is much bigger than that. It includes that clearly. And of course, there's a wonderful intersection where what you do to earn money can also be your contribution, right? But let's say, for example, that what you do on this planet is, or how you act to this planet is through your ministry. You might not necessarily make money ministering in some way, shape, or form, but that is a strong contribution. That's a strong contribution. Other ways that people, I don't have any notes today, you guys, so just bear with me if I feel like I'm searching for words, because it's just coming straight from the download. But other ways that people contribute beyond just their business, their jobs, their businesses, etc., are in their relationships. So last week when I was talking to you guys about the 4 different kinds of relationship, I hipped to the fact that the lower the access, the more likely that there's a selfish reason that you're around this person. It's probably an activity partner, right? Your acquaintances are typically, they start out as with a common activity. And the closer the person gets to you, the closer the access, the more you shift toward how you should serve them. The more you should shift, let me replace that. The more you should shift to how you should serve them. The problem is most of us don't do that. We go all the way up to friend and romantic relationship, and we're still trying to figure out what we can get out of the situation. And then when it's all crashing and burning, we don't understand what's going on. So that's part of the key to a healthier and more on purpose relationship. But you can, because relationships are one of your greatest areas in life of service, it can be one of your greatest areas in life of contribution, right? And so specifically, we said we started out with our family members. Our family members are the longest relationships we have on the planet, right? Several of them know us from jump, from when we came out of our mama. And ultimately, at some point, we can always turn the tables from them taking care of us to us knowing how to serve them, and vice versa with our friendships and with our romantic relationships. Contribution can take on basically any way that you serve others or serve the world. And so we defined purpose as something that was intentional, right? One, in my own story, and I've shared this with you guys before, in my own story, I think one of the larger mistakes that I made in my 20s, and I don't know if I was doing it in my 30s, I think I was just kind of waking up in my 30s, but in my 20s, especially teens and 20s, is I was not intentional in any way, shape, or form with the things. I just it was almost like a conveyor belt. Like I literally, life was just like a conveyor belt, and I was just riding the conveyor belt wherever it went, with no attempt to be purposeful at all, no attempt to understand who I actually was or even honor it. Real talk, like I just, and the people around me were teaching me that. So it wasn't of my own doing that I came up with this. This was what I was taught by the people around me. I did not honor who I was. I did not really have a good grasp. I kind of knew some of the things about me, which I'll talk to you guys about in a second, but I didn't honor them. Honor them meaning give them weight, give them importance. And I absolutely did not try to create or shape my life in the direction of my alignment with purpose, meaning how God designed me. I did not. I was just floating down the river. And then when I ended up in the bushes and the reeds, I was acting confused. And typically when you end up in the bushes and the reeds, you guys, it's because you lack purpose. It's because you lack intention. And if you're a person like how I went, you can go straight into victim mentality, especially if you learned it from the people around you. So I'm saying all of this so that you guys, sometimes I say these things to you guys so that you might just have an aha moment where you see yourself. Because for the first time ever, you may be like, wait a minute. You mean all that stuff is my fault? And I'm not saying it's your fault, but what I'm saying is when you lack purpose in your endeavors in life, whether it's your relationship, whether it's how you contribute to the world, and things don't go well, there is a tendency, because you lack purpose, to externalize that as well, right? Because purpose is an internal experience. Purpose is an internal experience. So we talked the first week about how to find your purpose, right? And one of the things that I want to highlight about that conversation was alignment with God. The first thing, well, I don't even know if I said this the first week, I can't remember, but let me say this to you guys. One of the biggest ways to understand what your purpose is, who you are, what you were designed to do here, is to be still and get quiet. And yes, I just did that for impact. Because many of us are like, silence freaks us out. For whatever reason, possibly learned, we were taught to fill all the space with activity and things and actions. Why? Maybe we find our value in that. But let me tell you something. Your purpose is directly related to you as a spirit, who you are on the inside, not this body, not this mind, your actual spirit. And that spirit is in direct alignment with God. That's how it's supposed to be. And if you start getting still, sometimes there's a clarity that comes. But even if there isn't a clarity, you start to be confronted with your spirit. And that spirit is always trying to realign itself with what God made it to be. And sometimes I feel like we don't stop moving and we don't get quiet and we don't get still because we are either afraid to have that experience or we were not taught what to do with silence. We were not taught how to hear God explain to us, this is you. The other thing is, how do I say this, God? Because it's an internal experience, what purpose is, who you are, and what you're designed to do here, how you're designed to contribute. I'm trying to find the right words. We will give away the power that we have to others, and we will never fully take time to be honest. That's the word I'm trying to get. Be real and be honest about what we actually know is in alignment with God. So I feel that if you get quiet, sometimes you know who you are. And then it becomes a practice of the courage and the bravery to say it aloud, probably for the first time in your life, to yourself, much less to others. Children come into the world telling you exactly who they are. My son tells me all kinds of stuff now. He's 7. He wanted to be Anna for Halloween. And I was like, come again? And I kept asking him, I was like, what do you want to do? What you trying to do for Halloween now? What? And in his innocent mind, he is just like, listen, I like Frozen. I like Anna, that's my girl. Like, I want to dress like her. The reason why he's so free to tell me that is because the world hadn't come in and told him anything else. And part of me marvels at that level of innocence. And I wish that we all kind of had that level of like, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. And I feel that many of us never got an opportunity to hold on to that honesty about who you are and what you want to be. We gave away that, I shouldn't say many, I mean, I don't know everybody's story, but I encounter this a lot. People give away their authentic self, or they stuff it down, or they hide it because they are taught that they have to fit into the mold, or in my case, they have to get onto the conveyor belt. So you can't be on the factory floor twirling around in a tutu because you're a rainbow unicorn or you're a pineapple, because you got to go get this office job, Rushni. So you got to, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And in the back of your head, you're just like, but I want to wear rainbow colors and I want a cartwheel. You know what I mean? Or something even, or I want to do something. In my case, it was more on the lines of, I feel like I want to do something that's creative. I feel like I want to, when I look back on my upbringing, I had a camera, a 110 camera. I'm gonna mark my age right now. Y'all gonna get this age. I had a 110 crank camera with the flash cube flashes. When you'd buy like a pack and you'd have like 8 flashes, 4 flash cubes. And I I used to go around taking pictures with this little crank camera when I was a kid. I used to draw outfits, clothes, and just always drawing clothes, drawing mermaids, drawing people, drawing all the things, to the point that now that my husband has a fashion design degree, there were many days I feel like I should have gotten that degree because I helped him with that homework. Okay, I was drawing all the time. I was drawing on them pieces of paper. Okay, and I feel like Lindenwood owes me a degree. But anyway, he was like, "How come you know how to do this?" And I was like, "I used to do this." But inside of me, I knew what I wanted to contribute to the world. Does that make sense? I knew what I wanted to contribute to the world was art and entertainment and creativity from an early age. I used to get those, what are they called? Those little knick-knack catalogs. There's a name for them. They have all the little party favors in them, and there's an old catalog. When I was a kid, and I used to order things from this catalog in bulk and sit there making handmade little gifts for my classmates. You know, entering art competitions when I was a kid and all this kind of stuff. And so it's almost like I knew I was aligned. And even though I went all the way around on a detour of grand proportions, it took that near a psychological breakdown and, you know, God kicking me out of my job in corporate, because I just kept going back to corporate job. I just kept going back to my contribution that I knew, even though I was miserable and I hated it. And that's all I knew. I was just replicating what I was told to do. I was just replicating it. And finally, when I was pregnant with Zion, and they were like, your contract's done, whatever, like I had to bump out. And it's funny, you guys, because I wanted to read this to you, because, and Michelle, I see that you wrote something I'm gonna tell you. Let me show you guys what happens when you're in alignment. I don't have the year on this. I wish I had written the year down, but I found this in my basement the other day, and I put it on my nightstand. Many years ago, in one of my old journals, I had written this down. On one side, it says the job from hell as the header. And on the other side, it says the job from heaven, right? And you have to remember now, when I wrote this, it was like early 2010s, 2011-ish probably. You know, that's probably around the time frame I wrote this. And I was working a corporate job, and that's all I knew. I was entirely out of alignment with my spirit. I was out of alignment with my design. I was out of alignment with my purpose. My contribution. I wasn't contributing what God wanted me to contribute per se. Although He'll give you grace to do what you have to do in the space that you're in. But you know what I mean. And I was miserable because I was miserable. I was depressed. Okay. So the job from hell, you guys, have a long commute. It's in a corporate office with no influence, and it's boring, technical, and I'm on call. I have inflexible hours that I have to start and stop. I have to start super early in the morning, and there's no creativity in this job. I sit in a cubicle, and we really don't talk. And I'm trying to listen to you guys. I might have to go. What is happening? Zion is downstairs making noise, you guys. I might have to go check on him for a second. Give me 1 second and I'll finish this. There are no results and it's low pay. All right. And then I have on the other side an imaginary job that I've never worked before in my life. Just me writing the opposite. Okay, you guys, I really apologize. But since my husband is not home, I have to go check on Zion because he is making noise and calling out for me, and I just need to check. So give me a few minutes to check on him and make sure he's okay. All right, I'll be right back.
You know, I just wanted to say, whoever was talking about, excuse me, in the very beginning of the call, that they had heard something about appreciating your past for what it was, how it was able to shape you. That kind of reminded me of grief recovery work, because they have you do like a lost history graph where you go over everything that you can remember that happened in your life and you appreciate it for what it was. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, girl, I was boohooing. This is Steph. I don't know. I don't think I've ever chronologically gone through my life that way. And then I pulled up pictures to like kind of prompt my memory. my intent was to share 2 excerpts from the letter with you all, but then I forgot. So I'll dig that up and yeah.
Yeah, that was really awesome, because that's not easy work to do. It's not easy to remember all of those things, and some things are not exactly pleasant. So, but I mean, just the fact that you're very aware and you took the time to do that, that's really awesome.
You call that recovery work?
They do that. It's called a loss history graph. They do
Loss
that in
history
the
graph.
recovery handbook. And that's what I was talking about, what she was doing.
Okay, thank you.
I sincerely apologize, you guys. Typically my husband's at home, but he's traveling. So if I hear my kid screaming my name, I have to go get him. That's what happens because I'm his mom. All right. So anyway, I read you guys this thing that I wrote down. That was a job from hell. I want to read you guys what the job from heaven sounded like. No commute, small or home office, great influence, exciting, uncomplicated. I'm not on call with flexible hours. I have flexible or the ability to start very late. It is full of creativity. I do not sit in a cubicle. I talk to people with tangible results, and I have a high pay. That's literally what I'm doing right now. Both versions, the Glamazini version of it, and even this new job that I didn't even know existed on the planet. And I can take my computer and work in the car when my son's at therapy. And you guys, I show you that because I feel like that happened to me because I finally started becoming honest about who I was and what I wanted out of this life and what I wanted to contribute during my time on the planet. And I became brave enough to say it to myself, to discover it, to hear it, to honor it, to give it weight, first of all, and then to say it aloud to myself enough, and then to start saying it to other people. And when you start putting it out into the world to other people, people meet you where you are. The Bible says your gifts will make room for you. Your contribution will make room for itself. What God designed you to give to this planet or to give to the people that are here on this planet will carve a way out for you. It also says that you overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. The word of your testimony means you have to have something to tell people. And so if you're in alignment with knowing who you are, what you want to create, and you become brave enough to be honest and tell other people, people start meeting you where you are. If you post every single day that you want to become a public speaker, by the end of this year, somebody's going to have you speaking at something. Even if all you're saying is, I want to become a public speaker. Yesterday, I read a book about, the next post the next day is, yesterday I read a book about public speaking. The next day is, I went to a seminar about public speaking. The next day you share an article about public speaking. All of a sudden, people's heads start turning, right? Especially if you're a person who has something to share with them that they actually want, right? If you all know those people on your social media timeline or even in your life who are constantly alerting you to who they are, constantly in small ways, so that when you need that specific contribution from them, you know who to call. If you need the lady that sews, you know who to call. Why do you know that? She didn't keep it to herself, right? If you need the lady that bakes cakes, you know who to call. If you need somebody to design something for you, you know who to call. You cannot get mad at life for not calling you to do something that you haven't been honest with yourself about or you haven't shared with others. Nobody's going to come to your house and knock on your door and say, excuse me, excuse me, person who has worked in this corporate job or who has always been a hairdresser or who has, done all this. Would you like to be an author and write a book? Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to reach into you and yank out your contribution for you. Right? And so what I want you guys to get from today's call is an understanding that you can be very intentional with how you contribute to the world, whether it be your position at your job, whether, like I said, whether you're actually working in a career where money is involved, whether it is your ministry, whether it is mentoring kids, whether it is becoming an inventor. You know, maybe your contribution is you spend your entire life coming up with this one incredible thing that serves this population. You can be very intentional. And when you are, the more intentional you are and the more brave and honest you are, the more peace you will find. Matter of fact, if you don't feel peace about the alignment, like what you think you're designed to do, I would beg to offer that you don't make a lot, like maybe you're not on the right track. Like if there's a lot of anxiety, I'm not saying fear. Fear is one thing because, you know, everybody's afraid, especially if they've never done it before. I'm talking about peace. Like you just know that this is you. Don't matter if anybody has ever told you, nobody's ever had to validate you. What does my friend say validation is for parking? I'm not talking about your mama said, yeah, that's a good idea. And your daddy said, yes, a good idea. You know it's you. You know, and I just know that often some people are lucky enough that they never had this problem. They just woke up one day, they knew they were a savant, they wanted to play the piano, and they've been playing the piano since they were 3 years old, and now they're at Carnegie Hall and they're done. A lot of the other people, they are totally out of alignment with what their purpose is. Or they are off alignment, meaning they're close enough, but they could even be more intentional with shifting how they contribute to the world so that they are more in alignment and more on purpose and happier and more content. And so, for example, with me over the years, I've shifted my brand several times. You know, my Glamazini brand started out about hair. And as much as I probably could keep talking about hair, I have lots of hair content and I have lots of hair, lots of hair information. I shifted it because it was just a little out of alignment for me. And I needed something that was a little bit more toward the concept of creativity and joy, which is really what I feel my whole purpose is. No matter what I'm doing, I bring joy. That's what I do. That's just my lane. And so I shifted my brand so that I was more toward that thing. Okay, Michelle said about what I was talking about earlier. That's so true. Working on purpose and the next chapter of her life, I realized that I am censoring myself, afraid to be a version of me. That's a common experience. I'm sure if we opened up the call, other people on this call could easily tell you that if they look back at how they were operating last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, all of us have some version of censoring ourselves. And that's because we live in a society that is judgmental and we are taught that there's a currency in judging. But unfortunately, I feel like that currency doesn't serve any of us. It doesn't serve any of us because what it does is it takes a level of bravery to survive that. So many people fall victim to just becoming this homogenous blob of humans, and we're all just kind of like going down the pike, doing the same thing, and everybody's doing the same thing. And so many of it, you know, there's always like those weirdos on the outskirts that when you're younger, I don't know if you guys have this experience, but like people when you were kids or in college, especially, like there are some people in my mind who when I was in college, they were pretty out, like they were on the outskirts. They were not the normative, like they didn't fit into the herd. And now I look at them and I think, man, I kind of wish I had befriended them because they were more on purpose and alignment than I ever was. I was just going down the conveyor belt, doing what they told me to do, sacrificing who I was and ignoring it because that's what my mother did and that's what my father did and that's what they told me to do and that's what I thought was gonna work. I just thought this works, you know what I mean? And then when I got out of college, I was more depressed than ever. And I was like, wait, when does the work part kick, like when does this work part kick in? And it never did. It absolutely never did. I was just miserable. I was just miserable. So yeah, censoring yourself is normal, you know, but life expands and contracts in proportion to your courage. The more you are, the happier you will be. But the more you are, the more resistance you will get from the people who want you to remain the same. But you know what I'm learning, you guys? God gives you new people. There's like a fear that you're never going to find humans, like that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna burn away all these people that were interacting with the old me. and nobody else knew it was going to come. That's not true. I had that same thought. That is not true. The people are coming out the woodworks. Some people remain, you know, they're like, okay, let's go up higher. You know, this is you and I'm going up too. Let's both go up. But some people don't. But it takes a lot of courage. We reward we reward staying in the herd because we don't like to see somebody break out of the herd and be their full unique self because it makes us feel inadequate. And I say we in the general we. A lot of people don't like to see you doing well because if you're doing well, it's a mirror on them because now they realize they could have been doing the same thing you was doing and they did not. But here's the funny thing about this life and this world, you guys. It's like if tell me if I'm wrong. Pay attention to like there's like this homogenous group of all of us kind of like we're just like mice on a cog. You know what a cog is like in those machinery, the things that go we're all just, you know, making the machine run. And then there are the people that try to get out of that. They want to start a business. They want to become an airline steward. Like they want to do something atypical with their life. They want to serve children in China. They want to stop being a corporate, you know, they want to take their whole family and live on a boat. You know, those people who are like doing it kind of like the outskirts of society, but they know what they want to do. They know what their contribution is. And people kind of shun them and look at them crazy until they break a certain threshold. And then when they break a certain threshold, we laud them again. Think of all the celebrities and stuff. All of those people, the celebrities and all of these people in like high places in our society, they literally were like, forget the herd. I'm going full alignment with who I think I am. I think I'm supposed to bounce a ball for the rest of my life. That's what I'm doing. I think, like an actor, for example, I don't think I'm going to go to an office mom. I think I'm going to pretend to be somebody else. That's what I'm going to do. Like, that doesn't sound like, that sounds a little off, you know? But those are people who are like unrelentlessly brave and courageous. And that's, I mean, Michelle, I'm saying this to you, but I'm just saying this to everybody. That's part of what it takes to be a person who lives on purpose. Now, we talked last year about all, you know, in the 30-day Mind, Body, Spirit Challenge, we talked about identity, who you are, and all that kind of stuff. You know, so I'm assuming that you guys all did that work already. If you're still unclear, you're never going to be 100%, you know, buttoned up, but it gets clearer and clearer and clearer, and you get more and more peaceful as you move through your life and your day. But I definitely encourage you to be still and to listen. And when the real stuff comes up, to not, no, well, that's not a good idea. I don't know how to make money doing that. All of those kind of things those are the voices that you heard. I think I posted in one of the groups that your inner voice, what was it? The way you speak to your children becomes their inner voice. And I was like, whoo. But at the same time, I find that to be true for myself. Because even with all the work that I've done, some of the stuff that I hear in my mind right now that I have to counteract with truth and God and scripture and, you know, and relearning new ways to be more aligned with who I am and to honor who I am as a person. I'll talk to like my mom or my dad and they'll just tell me to say, it's literally the voice in my head is them. And I'll be like, huh. I get off the phone and be like, well, no wonder I was struggling with that. They're still telling me that, you know? But then the thing that I've learned is the more authentic I am, first they're like, that's not gonna work. Then they're like, wait, how are you doing that? And then they're like, can you show me how to do that? It's like a common experience in my life. People say, that's not gonna work. Stay with us. Do not, you know, do anything purposeful. You don't know yourself. I know you better than you know you. And you start believing them. That's the scary part. You start believing that they know you better than you know you. You want to become an airline pilot. They tell you you do not. And you're just like, I do not. What? You better go. You better take your butt to flight school or whatever it is, you know. So yeah, that is a very common thing. So, okay. Anybody have any comments, questions about their job, their gift, their ministry, in alignment with their purpose and what they are here for?
Hi, this is Michelle. Um, I totally agree and I totally relate with everything that you said. My challenge, I will say, it's yesterday I went to some place and today again, somebody asked me, oh, you just arrived in Atlanta. What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that, I was like, so I start giving an expected answer. I have a legal background, so I would love to, and that's not true. That's not true. It's not that it's not true. It's that I realized that I was totally censoring myself and going back to what feels safe and
Right.
what is safe. And my challenge in that season is that I will not say I cannot afford, but it's not good to be safe because, like you, I want more to work in entertainment, doing things that are creative, being in front of people, change people's life. It's easy to tell that to you. And I remember last week, one of my coach asked me the question, I don't understand, you say that you have challenge with communication, but when you are with us, you succeed. And I think when I'm with like-minded people,
Mm-hmm.
I can be myself. But when a question arrives like that by some random person, I'm like, okay, how can I answer? What will be the right answer and what will
Why?
be?
Why are you giving a random, why do you do that? Why do you do that? Answer me that.
What you said, I think there's the fear of judgment, the
Okay.
fear that they will laugh at me.
Well, I'm gonna take you down this little rabbit hole. So let me ask you this. So you meet the person, they say, so you just got to Atlanta, girl, what you gonna do? And you say, I wanna be a creative.
Yeah,
And they judge you. And they literally, I mean, they don't even think it. They turn around and say, girl, you tripping. Everybody wanna be a creative. You better get you a real job. What happens next?
I shut down. I will shut down.
But do you self-destruct?
No.
No, 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 you don't self-destruct.
But I think that deep down inside, it will be a confirmation that that's crazy.
Why?
It will
Why?
reinforce the voice that I have in my, the why. I don't see if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, so, no, I know what you mean, and I'm trying to challenge it. So if it's a confirmation that what you're doing is crazy, why is that person's statement a confirmation? What gives them that much weight that they can confirm something about you? Tell me what in you gives another person that much weight.
I do not trust enough. Maybe that I'm capable of doing the thing.
You don't trust yourself.
Yeah, I do not trust myself.
Okay, so what are you lacking? In your mind, what are you lacking? I know you're gonna say credentials. We already had that credentials. Tell me some more.
Yes.
What are you lacking?
No, you got me.
Because listen, if you're lacking credentials, you can go get credentials. I mean, they sign up for some.
No, and yesterday one of the person asked me the question. She was like, "Oh," because at some point I was like, "Okay, I'm going to say that I want to be a coach and coach those people." And they, "Oh, do you have the credential?" And I was like, "Yes." And she looked at me like, and that's when I realized that, whoa, you're super censoring yourself. So this
Okay, but here's the thing
conversation.
okay, so let me tell you a little bit about coaching. This is very transparent. I don't know. I think one of you guys asked me if I had coaching credentials before you guys signed up for this. My current pastor asked me last week, my pastor, as in fully pastoring a church, okay, documented in the state of Missouri, ordained and documented pastor, who also is my friend, but writes me and says, tell me more about coaching, this and that and the other. And I wrote her back and I gave her a little spiel. I don't have it here because my phone's downstairs. And I basically was like, coaching is an unregulated industry in the United States. Even with that said, on a national level, even with that, so basically anybody can call themselves a life coach. I said, even with that said, there are some organizations that are trying to have credentialed regulation, but they're not nationally credentialed regulation. And I sent her links to the several organizations, and they give coaching courses and they give coaching certificates. I'm like, there's a book that basically everybody considers to be the coaching Bible, and this is the link to the book, and blah, 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 as well as everybody and their grandmama. I could say I want to do a coaching certification, literally. It's unregulated, and because it's unregulated, it's like that. So everybody got a coaching certification. You know what I mean? Right? And then and I wrote to her and I said, however, you are an ordained pastor. Girl, You could start coaching right now. I said, not only are you an ordained pastor, you're kind of already doing it because she has like mentorship stuff. You know, it's funny because even though she's my pastor, I'm still coaching her. Don't ask. I'm still nudging her to be like, you can do, you already know how to do this. You already know how to do this, right? So I want you, Michelle. Okay, do you see how I kept asking you, well, why? Why is that? And maybe you don't have the strength yet to answer these questions of the whys on your own and to challenge yourself. So maybe you need to have somebody who can challenge it for you, like me or something, you know what I mean? Because a lot of what the barricades or the barriers that you're putting up are yourself. And we talked about this before, and this is something that people do. But you specifically, we've talked about the fact that you put these barriers up so that you don't have to act.
Yes.
Yeah, listen. Sometimes you just got to do it. Here's the thing. Somebody is going to say something bad about you. Somebody is going to say you're doing it wrong. So whatever you're planning to do, get ready. Somebody is going to say you're doing it wrong. You're never going to get 100%. As the higher you go, the only way you're going to get 100%, everybody thinks you're positive, if you're only impacting 2 people. When you get to 10 people, 1 person is going to tell you you're doing it wrong. Ask me how I know. The bigger my platform, the more people be in the comments. I'd be like, where do these people come from? Everybody used to love Rushni. Everybody loved Ramazini. I'm a pineapple. How you can't like me? Okay, I've been told all kind of stuff. My eyes are funny. They know I'm crazy. I talk too fast. I talk too slow. I've been in the comments, listen, I've been in the comments cracking up because at this point, I'm like, y'all, I am honed by fire. Okay, I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. It's 10 years in the game. You ain't about to say much unless you listen, if they say something about Zion, then it's on and popping, okay? But I'm like, it don't matter what you say about me. Okay, and my favorite retort to anybody that says anything to me is to ignore them, first of all, like 99.999. But when I'm being really testy and I got an extra minute or 2, I'll tell people, oh, well, thanks for sharing that with me. If you have such a strong opinion about the matter, go ahead and film a video and put it up on your Facebook page. Because I'm weird and petty and God's still working on me. Because in my mind, I'm like, listen, I'm impervious, okay? Because I'm out here sharing joy with the saints, all right? So I say that to say to you, somebody gonna be a hater. Somebody's going to, you're not, whatever you do, Michelle, somebody is gonna tell you you're doing it wrong. I don't care if you're making $100,000 a year as a public speaker. Somebody, probably somebody, most likely somebody who's not making $100,000 a year as a public speaker, will be critiquing how you speak, critiquing this. They're going to talk about accent. They're going to talk about what you look like. They're going to talk about how you dress. The whole time you cashing checks, you know, boop, you just out here cashing checks, just oblivious, just cashing checks, and they mad. I think I told you guys a few calls back, nobody who's doing better than you is ever going to be the critical person. Check the receipts, okay? The person who's going to be the critical person is not the one doing better than you. People doing better than you, they have stuff to do. They don't have time to be monitoring you like that. They out here chasing paper. Okay, Chanel says, when you stop censoring yourself and step out in courage towards your purpose, you can't go back to how you used to be. It's scary as age, but very liberating. And that's so true. Absolutely. I can't go back, won't go back. Let me tell y'all something. Can I go, Saran, please stop making faces at me. I can see you. Listen, I can go work in a person's corporate office. I mean, it's not like if the world is coming to an end, I'm gonna be like, oh, I can't go work there anymore. Listen, y'all want to see a whole different Rushni up in the corporate office? I'd probably be in there a good 8 to 10 months maximum, because I'll be plotting another business. I can't do what I'm doing right now and actually have money coming and then just sit in somebody's office and feel like I'm trapped ever again, okay? I would be sitting in these people's office just as happy as ever because I'm leaving. In my mind, I'm leaving. They would get my best work, okay? Because I'll be here for a hot 10 months. I gotta go. You're so right. It's like, what do they say? You take a plant out of a pot, you put it into another pot, and it spreads, and now you try to pull that up, roots and everything, and shove it back into this pot. No, man. It don't work that way. That's why I said, Michelle, the more you are, you're gonna feel like, it's gonna feel like wings. peeling off your back, starting to spread out. And somebody gonna come and be like, shut it down. And you're gonna be like, actually, this is, like you're gonna just be knocking haters off with your wings, because you have to feel that way. It doesn't feel any other way. Aligning with your purpose does not feel any other way. I think Steve Harvey had, you know how he has all these internet videos or whatever? There's some video about jumping or something that Steve Harvey had. If I can find it, I'll put it in the group. But he's talking about that feeling of like soaring off off into your life and in your fears and everything. You're expecting the feeling to be different, and it's not. The difference between you and the people that are doing it is them jokers jumped. They jumped, then they didn't really care whether they jumped, they bust their face, they got up, they tweaked it, they learned from it, they understood how they needed to prepare again, they jumped again. Because there are people who refuse to be here on this planet for a limited amount of time, whatever amount of time we have, and not at least try. I'm one of those people. Listen, I don't know what it is in me where I'm just like, I got to figure out. And I used to be so tortured. Oh, I don't know what my purpose is. Oh, no, God. Oh, no, blah, 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 blah. Now I've totally transcended from that space. I'm not there anymore. I'm like, okay, God, I got it. I know what you made me. I'm a joy bringer. I'm an encourager. You know how the church people say you're an edifier. You know what I mean? You're an edifier. Okay, that's just what I do. And now I'm like, I have to do that. like it's like my brain is like, when I come in the room, light comes in the room. This room is different when I get in here. This room will be changed when I walk in the room. You don't know it yet. You know what I mean? Like I come in, you know, and even when I'm trying not to, it's still happening. It's like, it's literally still happening. And I'm just sitting there like trying to be all, you know, incognito. Chanel said, yep, hear from me now. What I'm about to do is, yes. Yeah. You can't, so with respect to what you said, Michelle, part of the learning is change your expectation of what it's going to feel like. That uncomfortable feeling is growth. That uncomfortable feeling is courage. Comfort zones are called comfort zones because they're comfortable. Okay? If I were you, I would actually practice telling strangers this thing, just to like almost desensitize myself. I would literally walk around and just, you know, randomly to any rando person in the grocery store, you know, when they strike up a conversation, say, oh, you doing? Oh, I'm doing really well, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, da, da, da. Yeah, I'm working on a creative project. And they're like, oh, really? What do you know? What is it about? I'm kind of fleshing out. You don't have to tell. I'm fleshing out the details right now. I'm super excited about it. And then you just walk off. And you're just like, well, that was weird. Because you just need to say it. Say it over and over. Girl, wake up in the morning and look yourself in the mirror and say, Michelle, this is what we're doing. Okay. We're not going to walk around telling people we want a legal job, because when we put that out into the world's going to meet me with that. If you walk around telling anybody you want a legal job, you know what's going to happen when a legal job pops up? People are going to call you because you've told them that's what you want. But if you tell people that you want to do public speaking or you want them to be creative and you keep saying that, then when something pops up, they're going to think of you. Oh, what was that girl's name? The one who's always talking about her creative stuff. Call her. You want to do this? This is an opportunity. The world can't meet you if you don't put it out there. And it's not going to feel comfortable. Comfort zones aren't comfortable. People are impressed with a professional card. Absolutely. I mean, I don't really carry cards anymore. That's not my ministry, but I'm the queen of what's your social media, because I'm a social media person, right? So the minute I meet you, my social media is my business card. Find your purpose and who you want to be and set up a game plan to be that. Yeah, I want you to practice, and all of you guys, not just her, all of you guys. If you are entirely off in left field, take some time to be still and figure out who you actually are. And if you are aligning your contribution, whether it's your job, your ministry, you know, your mentoring, your gift to the world, your social media presence, how are you serving us? When I need to have some, you know, serve a server in a restaurant, you know, they bring the thing to you, you know, they serve you. When I want, what can you bring to me? How do you serve me? How do you contribute to this greater world, right? Hopefully when you guys want coaching and a good laugh, I got you. Here you go, right? And when you want abs of steel, you go to Sarah. So think about that, because some of those things are concrete, much more concrete and lauded by our society, doctor, and all those kind of things. And you know what, Michelle, here's the thing about what you have. I think you have that dichotomy where you're in one of those professions that you're supposed to be happy. Like you were taught in our society, we're taught that certain professions are like the top that all of us are supposed to want to have. And then you go to one of those professions and you're just like, I don't really. And everybody's like, are you crazy? You're a lawyer, but you're not the only lawyer I know who doesn't practice law anymore. I think I mentioned to you, I have a friend, she practiced law in New York. She practiced law for years in New York. She hated it and she was miserable. And one day she decided that she was going to go backwards to go forward. That was her own words. And so she stopped working at this law firm in New York, down by Ground Zero. She was like overlooking Ground Zero, like she was down there. Okay, she stopped working and she took another job doing something else, like totally pay cutty, totally thing. And then she wanted to be an event planner. I'm gonna check y'all of this. And then maneuvered into another job and slid over here. The next thing you know, she was the, what do you call it? It was like a social coordinator for all of the lawyers in another firm. So like they basically needed somebody to do like wellness programs for the lawyers. And she did a hip hop, a skippity bit, bop, bop. And the next thing you know, she was working with lawyers, but she wasn't practicing law. And then she and her husband now have a, what do you call it? An art gallery. They opened an art gallery in Brooklyn and an event space. So, that was kind of like you're not the only person that did law and don't want to be a lawyer. There's no shame in that. I want you to get to the point where you can tell people that proudly too, and could care less whether they judge you. Because most of the time, I'll tell you what, Michelle, if I met somebody who used to work in the field of law and they told me they wanted to be creative, I would be intrigued. I wouldn't be judgmental. I would be like, especially if they said it with bass in their voice and their chest out, because I'd be almost like perplexed at how they knew that so clearly. If you look at some of the creative in the celebrity industry, some of those people have medical backgrounds and stuff like that. Listen, a lot of us go down those conveyor belts and then we get down there and we find that's not for us. Some people go down and it was for them. And then some people didn't go. You see those people online who go and get degrees when they're in the 50s and 60s. One of my friends just became a nurse last year and she's my age, 43. And she just became a nurse last year and she is ecstatic. I mean, she's just like, I always wanted to do this. I couldn't do it before and da, 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 da. And so she just decided to like quit what she was doing and head toward nursing. And she's like, this is great. I love it. I mean, there's things about it that's stressful, clearly, but she's like, this is great. This is a better fit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will do that. I will start talking like to people and do my best not to censor and I don't care. Yeah, I want
especially strangers. Start with strangers because they don't know you. What are they gonna do, girl? When you tell them and they look at you funny, you just chuckle and walk off. What are they gonna do? You're not gonna self-destruct.
Okay, thank you.
Besides, you have to practice, okay? Because when you're up on a stage in front of thousands of people, you have to get used to it. So you might as well practice now.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. We have a couple minutes. Anybody have anything else before we go?
I did. I wanted to say something. This Vanica.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say about you writing something down and finding something that you wrote years ago. I think it's in Habakkuk that it says that you're supposed to write it down and make it plain.
Yes,
I wrote down a lot of different things, and even stuff that I see that I did that I'm doing now. I didn't realize that I wrote it down like maybe 10 years ago. of something that I wanted to do. And then I'm looking at the list and I'm like, I can check that off. I can check that off and I can check that off. That is very important to do that. I was just like astonished that somebody else does that and they saw the results later and they
Yeah.
could remember when they wrote it down, but it's so important to do though. I just wanted to say.
There were a few tweets going around Super Bowl Sunday of I forgot who sang the national anthem. Was it Demi Lovato? I think sang the national anthem. I don't know. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. And then whoever the quarterback was for the winning team, people had went way back in their tweets 9-10 years ago, and both of them had written things like Demi Lovato. I think it was Demi Lovato. Correct me if I'm wrong. She had written down, one day I'm going to sing the national. She tweeted, one day I'm going to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl in like 2011.
Wow.
And people like pull that tweet up. And then the quarterback for the team that won this year had done the same thing. He had tweeted like years ago, I'm going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Listen, sometimes you got to put that thing out there because listen, you got to throw it out into the world. If for nothing else, to show God, I mean, I didn't even go to biblical route, but just to show God you have faith, to say it aloud. Like I said, start saying it to yourself in the mirror. Then start saying it to strangers. Then start saying it to Pookie and them. Okay? And I promise you, the minute Pookie and them needs that thing, the fact that you've said it so much, I don't even care if they laughed in your face. When somebody comes to them and says, I need a cake for my so-and-so, they're going to be like, But you know, Vanica had said she wanted to start baking cakes for somebody. I have somebody in mind. Let me ask them and see if they would make a cake. And they'll turn to you and say, Vanica, this lady at my job needs a cake for her daughter's birthday. Do you need one? They're never going to come to you unless you put it out there. That might be your first sale.
It does make a big difference, even if you write it down and you forget about it. Because I think that sometimes God is like going through those papers and was like, I know she put a note somewhere saying that she wanted, and I tell my cousin that all this, and she finally believed it. I'm not going to say what I had on my list, but I was showing her a list that I had made that I tacked on the refrigerator that's been up there for 10 years. And I was showing her something else on the list. And she was like, wait a minute, when did you write that? I said, oh, that was back in 2012. She said, you know, you're doing that. And I'm like, girl, you got to write it down.
Yes, I wrote this down. I vaguely remember writing this, you guys. This was impossible in my mind. It doesn't mean it was impossible in real life. Clearly it wasn't impossible. I was writing a figment of my imagination. What I did, I remember this. I wrote down what my current position was like, and I just wrote the opposite. It wasn't like I was dreaming big. I just had no capacity. Capacity means the ability to hold something, to make space. I had such limited capacity for what was possible with God that all I could do was know that the opposite of what was happening to me right now is what I wanted. And when I tell you every single thing on this list is my current situation.
Wow, I can't wait to call my cousin and tell her I'm not crazy. Like somebody else did it, and it does. It's like God is just like showing up. Like I remember when you scribbled that on a piece of paper. But thank you so much.
Absolutely. And Michelle, you've seen, and Vanica, I don't know if you watched it. I know Michelle was watching it with me. The Crazy Faith 8 million series for Mike Todd. He wrote that thing down, girl. He put that thing down. He shared it with a few key people about the Spirit Event Center becoming their church. And he shared it with a few people. And that's why I'm telling you, I'm like, just start telling yourself and then build the courage to tell whoever. And strangers are great because what are they going to do? Like I said, even if they laugh in your face, well, you're not going to die. I mean, you just, if they laugh in your face, come in a group and say, yeah, I told a stranger that I wanted to XYZ today and they laughed in my face. And by the time we finish gassing you up, you'll be good. You'll go out and tell 5 more strangers that same afternoon. You'll be like, oh, okay, I feel great now. Y'all done told me I'm incredible. I'm unstoppable. I'm this, I'm that. So anyway, all right, awesome, you guys. Okay, I don't want to keep you longer than the rest of the night. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight. And I will see you guys in the group. Don't forget, if you haven't set up your individual call with me to do so, links are in the group, and I'll put the link on this video when I upload it, and I'll see you guys throughout the week. Create an incredible week. That's it. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Keep shining. Bye-bye.